Hi guys, this is Mike Hibbert back with another Python Django tutorial for you. This time with a special request. I've had a few people asking me, how do you upload files using the Django framework? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to establish where the files are going to be put into the system once they're uploaded, so that they can be available, so that you can include them in URLs on your web pages, so that it can be re-downloaded, or if you've got images or that sort of thing, then you can probably link them in to your content pages. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go into our settings.py file, and we need to update this setting here, media root, and as the commenter above says, this absolute file system path to the directory that will hold user uploaded files. So we need to put on our system where this is going to be. Now this will be different for your system, so you need to work out what this path will be for yourself, but for me it's this path here on my system, and I'm running Linux. On Windows or on Mac that might be slightly different. I'm pretty certain that you're probably using forward slashes in the path, but let me know in the comments below if that's wrong. I personally don't develop on those two platforms when I'm doing web stuff. I like to stick with the platform that I'm probably going to deploy my applications on, which is usually a Linux box for me. So moving on, that's where I'm going to be having our static, or rather our uploaded files available underneath this static folder, which is also, if you've looked at our previous tutorials about serving static files like CSS and images, that's the same folder that I'm keeping my images and CSS inside of. But inside of there I'm going to create another folder called uploaded_files, but that will be done by the actual upload system, which I'll show you in a second. So that's the settings for the framework to know where those files should be located. The next thing to do is that we're going to extend our article model. Now previously it's got a title, a body, a publishing date and the number of likes that we've been dealing with, but I'm going to give it the ability to have a thumbnail. So to add that in, we just basically add another member variable in there, and this will be called thumbnail, and then we're going to call the field type a file field, and then we're going to say upload to get upload file name. Now get upload file name is not a string, it's an actual function that I'm going to create. The reason why I'm going to use a function is because it's very often easier to have a function there, so that it can do a little bit of logic, and you know, if you're uploading files to a certain user's account, then you can then use this function to work out what the folder name should be within your file system on the server. So let's have a quick look at what that involves. Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to pull in the time module, because I'm going to use timestamps to make the file names of the images or files that we're going to upload unique. So we're going to tack on the timestamp, and here's our function. So it comes with an argument of instance and file name, because the model system automatically knows that if this is a method, then it should pass in an instance from Django and then the file name of what the file's actually called once it's uploaded. From that, we're going to generate a string using this bit of code here. Now what does this do? It basically creates a string which will be formatted like this. It will be the folder name uploaded_files, as we discussed earlier, plus a first part of the file name separated by an underscore, and the second part of the file name. And the parts that will go in here will be the time, which basically comes out as a timestamp. We're going to replace any periods in there, so if we get I don't know, 1,001.567, we don't want points in there. For for safety reasons it might cause problems with file extensions on a file system somewhere. So we're going to replace that with an underscore just for the sake of my sanity. Notice I've used the string typecaster here because time doesn't necessarily come out as a string, but we want it to perform a string operation, which then gives us the replace method on that string. So that's why we're using that to convert this output of time. And then finally, the next part that goes into this slot of the string will be the file name, and that should be something along the lines of I don't know, myimage.png or JPEG or PDF, something like that. So that'll all get run and hopefully generate us a path that should say something along the lines of uploaded files / timestamp _ file name. And then that will do the logic of working out what the file name is and pass it back through to our file field. And the file field will take, sorry, my phone going off there. Now the file field will take care of the rest. It knows from our media settings in the settings.py that this is where the file should go. It knows now how to work out what the file name should be from our method. So then it will do the rest. It will upload the file. It will then take it from wherever storage it's been pulled into via the web server and then push it into that folder and name it that file that we've just specified. And that's all we need to do for that. So now that that functionality is built, we just need to connect it through to our web page. So the next step is just to basically make sure that the article's form knows how to deal with that field. So let's just go over to our article forms, and in our metadata we're just going to add one more field to the fields section just to say this is a required field to be put on the page. Okay, so we've done that, and that's all we need to do there. Now there's a few more things that we need to update, obviously, because it's not just as simple as creating a few bits of code in the back end. We have to update various parts. So here's what else gets affected. We have a change in the way that the article will be displayed, because we're going to display the image if there is one. We also have a change in the way that we create an article on the articles form, because now it's a different kind of form that can upload files. So we need to alter that. And also our view needs to know how to handle the event of having a file uploaded to it. So let's just take that first one there, the article page. This is the simplest, easiest way to update. So we're just basically going to say that when we display this article, if it does have an image, then we're going to display that image using the image tag in HTML and setting the source. So let's do that now. So we've got an if article.thumbnail. So if there's anything in there, if it's not an empty string, then do the following in between these two tags. Output a paragraph with an image which is located in the static assets folder under the folder uploaded _ files with the article thumbnail image name. Okay, so in the database the model will have only saved the file name, which will be something along the lines of the timestamp with an underscore and then the file name .png or something like that. And then we're going to say display it as 200 wide, just for the sake of making sure that it's not massive on the page. Now normally what you do is if you upload images, you may put them through a process of resizing if you're going to use it in a proper CMS situation, because you don't want 2 megabyte image files being downloaded onto somebody's page just because that's what they uploaded at the time of editing an article. You'd much prefer to just chop them down to the correct size that they're going to display at, and then have them in a format where they're probably only a few kilobytes. But for the sake of this, I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to say make sure that it's 200 pixels wide. So that's our article updated. The next thing to do is to update our form to say now we're going to be dealing with more than just normal input methods like text boxes and that sort of thing. We're going to include the enc type, or the encoding type, as multi-part / form data, just to say this is a form that's capable of uploading data as well as text. And that's all we need to do for that one. So our final section is just to go back to our create article method. And if you remember from previous tutorials, we had this view called create, which we access through articles / create, if I remember rightly. But we'll find out in a second if I've remembered that properly. So we have got the part that detects whether it's a post to this. So are we returning information? And if it is the case, then we open up an article form. Because we've already tied in our form with our model, so this is a model form that automatically knows what goes on inside of this article model, it will know that there's this additional field that's a file field. The only thing it doesn't know is where the source of the file comes from. So in order to tell this form where to get that data, we add in an extra parameter to it, and we say request.files. So notice the request contains lots of stuff that comes from the user from the browser side. So you get post, stuff that gets posted in forms, and files that are passed through in multi-part in forms. So we added that. If it's a valid form, then we click save and move on to the articles all page, just to show all the articles. This page doesn't, this part of the code doesn't have to change just because we've added a file upload section. The only bit that really changes is this, just so that it knows where the files are coming from. And that's it, pretty much done. Now, at this point, we've obviously changed a lot of information. We've also changed what should go on in the database back end. And what you'll find is if you ran syncdb right now in the console, so if we did syncdb, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't update because previous tutorials have put data into the actual article tables. So if we've got data in there already, the syncdb would not update the schema inside there because it would lose all the data. So in order to get that out, we're going to use this new command that I haven't shown before, which is called dump data. What we're going to say is we're going to get the framework to dump the data in the article app into a file, which is going to be a JSON file, because the output from this dump command is JSON. And we've got a little bit of an extra bit in here that just says indent the JSON by 4, and then pipe it through into our JSON file. And that'll literally be similar to if you've used MySQL, it's MySQL dump. That'll dump data from the database into a file on your file system. This is the similar thing. So just going to go ahead and press enter on that, and that should then I've dumped all that data out. So if I just have a quick look in there, yep, loads of JSON in there. Now what we want to do is that we want to now update things inside of the schema. Now we used to run sync data, but now we used to run syncdb, but now we're going to reset the article app. So we're going to take its data, totally blank it, and then reset the tables so that they match the current model definition. So to do that, we use this reset command. So it's python manage.py reset article. This is very destructive, so if you don't want to lose your data, then I advise you do the export command that I've just shown you how to get it out in JSON. If you don't do that, you've lost your data. So I'm going to press enter. It's asking me, am I sure I want to continue? Yeah, because this is going to totally blank everything. Now, that's blanked everything, but the schema's been updated. What we want to see now is the data that we've already saved into the JSON file put back into that table. So, to put it back, we use load data. So we've got python manage py load data, and then the name of the file that we've got the data in. And if we click that again, installed 8 objects from 1 fixtures. This is also a very good way of setting things up if you want test data for your apps and for your sites. So if you want to set up something that's in the database already ready for testing, then you can very often generate yourself a nice JSON file and then import that straight away. So you don't necessarily have to have a database up and running already. You can just import it when you've got your schema ready and when you've got your models defined. So it's worth doing that if you like to do a bit of testing. Okay, so that should be our data now imported, and now it should be enough for us to just run our server, and in theory that should work. So just test the servers on, yeah, and I'm going to create an article. I'm going to say Mike's test article blah 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 date. I'll just take the auto suggested version, don't really care. And then I'm going to take this avatar, and then I'm just going to click create. Okay, that appears to have worked. So there's our new article at the bottom, and it doesn't seem to have displayed. So why not? Let's have a quick inspection of the asset. This has gone into uploaded files, blah blah blah. So there's a string duplicated in there. Okay, so let's quickly switch off the server, go back, and in my article view I'm going to get rid of this bit because I think I've been a little bit too eager and put too much into that URL. Actually, when I think about it, I didn't even need to switch the server off because that's a change in the template. But let's go back anyway. There you go. So there you go. The simplest thing is to remember where you put things. So once you've done that, you should be fine. Now, did you notice that we also put in if article.thumbnail? So if there is something in there displayed. If not, then this should not be displayed. So let's just test that in another article that was already in the database. So that hasn't got a comment and that hasn't got an image associated with it, so it's not displaying anything. This is one I previously created and it should be broken because I've changed things. Yeah. Or rather, I deleted that file earlier. And this one doesn't. So let's create one more just to have a quick another little test. Next test article 2, and we'll just take the defaults for that. Take my company logo, blatant plug, sorry, and there you go. Okay, so that completes the this tutorial. I hope this was informative to you and I hope that you learned something from it. If you like this video, then please click the like button below, and if you want to know more about the Django and any future tutorials that are published, then please click the subscribe button and you'll get a message as soon as I post my next tutorial, which is probably going to be next Friday. So thanks for watching.